This is not my real voice. However, this is text that is converted into sound. Tips for learning Japanese. 1. Immerse yourself. If you're really serious about learning Japanese, you're going to have to put in a lot of hours of studying. But simply cracking the books isn't going to make you a well-rounded speaker, or listener for that matter. Believe it or not, it's totally possible for someone to pass the highest level of the JLPT, or Japanese Language Proficiency Test, without uttering a single spoken sentence. And although they'll definitely help, passing those tests doesn't mean you'll be able to communicate well. In real life, fluency comes from practical use, which requires immersion. Luckily, there are plenty of ways to get lots of Japanese into your day, no matter where you live, as long as you have an internet connection, which covers just about everybody. Love playing video games? Great. Play Japanese games. Love watching anime? Ditch the dubbed stuff, and break out the subtitled versions. Like to read manga? Look for bilingual versions. Need some background music? How about some J-pop? By making sure each and every day has some exposure to Japanese language material, you can create an immersion environment for yourself wherever you are. 2. Structure your studies. People who are self-taught in Japanese do exist, but sometimes they can find themselves getting into bad habits. Read enough manga and watch enough anime, and you can definitely pick up enough to get by if you're an observant type with a good ear, but there's really no substitute for organized, structured studying. The absolute best thing to do is probably to study Japanese in college, or at a dedicated language school, but if that's not an option, try to check out shorter courses, or perhaps find yourself a tutor. Even if you can't get access to any Japanese tuition, pick up some textbooks, and work your way through them with your own study plan. Working your way through the prep books for the JLPT is an excellent way to teach yourself everything you should be studying. In fact, prepping for and sitting the JLPT at each level is an excellent way for otherwise self-taught students to continuously level up and meet study goals. 3. Build your vocabulary naturally. Rather than studying dry lists of vocabulary, a handy trick is to buy yourself a little notebook and write down a new Japanese word every time you hear it. Doing it this way will help your brain to make connections between the word and the situation in which it's used. 4. Learn the patterns. One thing you might not initially have noticed while studying is that Japanese tends to follow a series of sentence patterns, along with a variety of situational phrases, like itadakimasu, atsukara-sama, and so on, which don't appear in English. 5. Make mistakes. Being afraid to make mistakes, when it comes to learning a language, is only going to hinder your progress. Our brains tend to remember unpleasant memories a little more clearly than pleasant ones. And if you're not making any mistakes at all, then you're clearly not studying hard enough. The person who dives into a conversation head first, making tons of errors yet doing their best to communicate, is going to become a better speaker much faster than the person who buries their head in a book and hesitantly regurgitates only those nuggets of language information they've already completely mastered.